Hey everybody, it's Jork. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Hey, today I wanted to make this video because I get asked often if I could talk about where Americans are living overseas. Most of the videos I make are geared towards those of you that are looking to move to Portugal or thinking about Portugal as one of maybe your top 4 or 5 places that you may end up retiring to or moving to at some point. But I just want to say at the top of this video, there's only about 14,000 Americans that are living in Portugal. And there was a big push in the last couple of years to be able to get to Portugal because Portugal had this tax regime that allowed you to pay a flat tax of 20% if you were working or 10% if you were retired. And that has gone away. They sunsetted that about a year and a half ago. So because of that, there was this big rush of people that wanted to get to Portugal that moved maybe a little sooner than they thought so they could get in on that deadline. But there's only 14,000 Americans living in Portugal. Now, when you watch Facebook or you get a news feed someplace on one of your social media channels, it seems like there's millions of people, millions of Americans living there because that's what pops up. It's a top destination for retirement. It's a great place to visit on a vacation, but a lot of that is the marketing from Portugal to get Americans to move there makes it seem like there's a lot more there than there are. There aren't really that many Americans, and 14,000, that doesn't quite hit the top 20 as far as an ethnic demographic in that country. But I wanted to go through and show you the top 10 countries where Americans are residing so I can give you a flavor, and some may be surprising to you, but I wanted you to see this because as you're thinking about moving to other places, if you're thinking about it for retirement, maybe not so much for work, but more retirement, here are the places where most Americans are living. So starting out, number 10, Spain. Over 100,000 people in Spain. So consider that. Portugal, I think more people think that there are more Americans in Portugal than there are Spain, but there's almost 10 times as many people in Spain, Americans. Of course, it's a much bigger country. If you're working, greater work opportunities, that's for sure. It's also a fantastic place to retire. Number 9 might be a little surprising, Japan. Again, a little over 100,000 people that are living in Japan. Many of those people are working. So I want to be, the caveat with that is the majority of Americans that are residing there are working on work contracts and as opposed to retirement in Japan. Number 8 is a place that many people are considering as an alternative to Portugal or have moved there and never thought about moving to Portugal. And number 8 is France. They have almost 120,000 Americans are residing there. And that's both work and retirement. So there are tens of thousands of people, Americans, that are working in and around France, but it's become more of a retirement destination. And I think over time, it's going to overtake many of the other European countries as far as a desired place for Americans to leave the U.S. and move to. It's got a very favorable tax treaty with the United States, and it's a place that, again, the food, the culture, it really can't be beat. And you're also almost in the heart of Europe. So if you're traveling to get to Portugal, to get up to the UK, even the Nordics, get to Eastern Europe, even getting down to Africa, is not that far of a flight or train or bus, depending on which way you're going. Number 7, might be a little surprising, South Korea. Almost 130,000 Americans are residing there. The overwhelming majority of Americans residing in South Korea are working. And it happens to be like auto manufacturing jobs. They're either working or leading departments or running factories there in South Korea. So might be, again, a little surprising to you. And this is not, again, for just retirement's sake. This is work and retirement. There's a handful of people that are living there on retirement. The majority are working there. Number 6, and this bumps up greatly. There's over 200,000 Americans residing in Australia. Now, it's from what I'm reading about 70-30 working to retirement. But there are more people that are moving there for work that are making a decision to retire in Australia. Difficulty is, depending on where you lived in the United States, it can be awfully expensive in Australia. So that's where, if you're retiring, it may not be the best option. That's why, again, more people are working there. Over time, if it can become more affordable, more people will end up retiring in Australia. Number 5, Germany. There's 238,000 U.S. citizens that are residing in Germany. A small percentage for retirement, a very high percentage for working. So isn't a true, I'll say, an expat sense, you're working and then you're going to go back to your home country. It is the most conducive country for Americans if they're looking to work and then move get some international experience. A lot of German international companies will do work contracts and work visas for Americans, and then you're there for 2, 3, 4 years, and then you're back in the U.S. So again, overwhelming majority is for work, but there are a handful that decide, you know what, we're going to stay in Germany and we're going to retire here. Number 4 may be surprising, Israel. There's 281,000, almost 300,000 U.S. citizens living in Israel. Now, I think most of those people are not working. Most of those have made the decision they're going to be living in Israel, and most likely, other than vacationing to the United States, they're going to be living in Israel for the rest of their lives. So although they are U.S. Citizens, they're going to be living in Israel, both working, raising families, and going to be there probably forever. So it's kind of a work / retirement. It's a life destination for many Americans that are looking to move abroad. Israel comes in number 4 at 281,000. Number 3, we bump up over 300,000 to 325,000 to people living in the UK. So Americans that are going to be living in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. This is where you're going to be potentially living. Many companies, again, because of the common language, you can become an expat and work and go back and forth. So from what I'm understanding too, this is about 70-30 as well, the amount of people that are working there, Americans, versus retirement. But those Americans, depending on especially the last 10 years of elections, sometimes people leave comments saying, we're looking at Portugal, but we're looking at many other countries. We're just looking at moving abroad someplace. The UK is a fantastic place, depending. It can be very costly in London. It can be super costly to live there. Same thing with Dublin, parts of Edinburgh as well. But it is beautiful, and if you can stand the weather, it can be very rainy, it can be very cold in the wintertime. And if you can do that, it might be a place to retire to. But again, most people are working in the UK, but there's starting to be a trend of more people thinking about retiring there. Number 2, pretty obvious one, Canada. Now you jump up from 325,000 in the UK to over 1 million in Canada. Makes sense because it's northern border, next door neighbor, several states border Canada, and there's over 1 million Americans that are living there. And it's interesting because that's about 50-50 working there versus living there. So it's not necessarily a 70-30 like Germany and maybe France. This is more 50-50, where people have made the decision, we're going to move to Canada, we're going to set up shop, get work, we're going to start our lives over, and we're going to be living in Canada maybe for the rest of our lives. But it's more of a 50-50 split, the amount of Americans that are working in Canada versus retiring. So again, making this video, and I know with the latest news, sometimes people are wanting to move there, sometimes people are not wanting to move, but regardless of that, over 1 million Americans are living in Canada. Number 2 spot. Number 1 spot, about 100,000 more people living in Mexico than Canada. 1.182 million people are living in Mexico. And the interesting thing is the majority there, it's about 70-30 living / retiring as opposed to working. It's about 30% that work along the border towns or different work assignments, work visas in Mexico. But the majority of Americans that are residing in Mexico are living there as a retirement. This is going to be the rest of their days, and other than vacationing maybe back in the US, they're living there on a permanent basis. So here is, again, a wrap up of the top 10 places, and I wanted to compare all those because there's many more Americans living abroad in these places than Portugal. Although my videos are mostly Portugal, and many of you believe that there's a lot more Americans living there than there are, only about 14,000. There's a lot more of us that are living in other countries. So if you are living abroad and you're an American, where are you living? Leave a comment below, because it may not be on this top 10 list. I'm just curious to see where some of our audience is coming from. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your travels.